Hey there YouTube, it's Zweihorne, and today I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a long time, which is a vlog, where you actually see like my face and body and stuff. Sorry for the low quality of the video. I'm recording this on my MacBook, and the reason for that is my high quality camera has a pretty small memory card, and I don't think I could record a video long enough to tell the story that I'm going to tell you today. And the story that I'm going to tell you today has to do with Double Bastard Ale. Which is released by Stone, which is located in San Diego, California. I'm fairly sure. Yes, San Diego, California. Anyway, so how did I find this beer? Very interesting story, at least to me, and hopefully to you. I was coming home from work one day and walked into my apartment, and a couple of my friends were already there, sort of hanging out with my roommate. And there's a bar that is within walking distance of my apartment, and I've always wanted to go there because it's a beer bar, and they rotate their taps. They have like 15, like somewhere between like 15 and 20 taps that they rotate every couple of months, and it's just really cool. And they have tons of beers, all sorts of very high quality beers that you really can't find even bottled in most places, and they have them on tap. So I've really wanted to go and check this bar out for a long time. And one of my friends is also interested in beer and has also wanted to go to this bar for a long time. But I got home from work and I was like, I don't want to leave everybody else here and just like me and him go off and leave the rest of the group. I didn't really feel like it was appropriate, but he talked me into it. And I was glad he did. But anyway, so he talks me into it and we say, okay, well, we'll just go for a couple of beers and we'll come back and hang out with everybody. So we walked down there, and the first beer that I ordered was, because this was in the middle of, like right in the height of Oktoberfest. And so I ordered some kind of Oktoberfest lager or amber ale or something like that, but it ended up being a little bit too light for me. It was still good, it was crisp, it was refreshing, but I can't recall the name, but it's just, when I go out to a bar, especially a beer bar where I'm paying quite a bit of money for beer, I want something a little bit heavier, something with more flavor, more fully bodied, to say the least. And I spent $5 on this beer, and I'm like, not as good as I was hoping, but still good. So we get to our second round, and in this bar they also have they have a bar, and then over to the right they have a big line of coolers. And these coolers have tons and tons of bottled beer. And because some of these breweries, like Rogue, Stone, and others, I can't think of any others off the top of my head for some reason, but some of these brewers, even though they're fairly big, Dogfish Head, even though they're fairly large in the scale of, like, if you were to compare them to a microbrewery, it's still pretty difficult to find their beer, especially their higher dollar bottled beer. So they have these large coolers and like just racks and racks and racks of beer. So I decide that I'm going to go over there and see if I can find something that I like, because first beer was kind of light, a little bit disappointing. So I go over there and I find a bunch of the Stone beer, like Arrogant Bastard and Sublimely Self-Righteous Ale, I think is the one, and Oaked Arrogant Bastard Ale, Yellow Snow IPA. I mean, these are all Rogue's Yellow Snow IPA, and these are all beers that I love. Like I've had them many times before, and I was like, you know what? Let's go with one of these. At least I know I'll have something that I enjoy to kind of round out the night. But then I also noticed Double Bastard Ale. Yay! I think this is the wrong bottle. This Double Bastard Ale. There is a difference, and it'll come up in a minute. But I saw this, and I was like, wow, this looks really good. And I don't know if I can show it on this camera because I don't know if it'll have the sensitivity. But it says it's 10.5% alcohol by volume. And I was like, that sounds good. I'm excited. I like really heavy ales because they tend to age really well. But so I see this, and I was like, awesome, let's get this one. Let's just try something new. And that's something I really like to do with beer is to try new things and to kind of explore see what I like, see what I don't like. And then I looked at the price, and it was $11, which is $10.99. And I was like, man, that's kind of a lot, for a beer, $11. It is a 22-ounce bottle, but it's still pretty pricey. And I was like, well, maybe it's marked up for the bar, because that makes sense. They would sell this somewhere else for maybe $8 or $9, and then they could just mark it up because they're selling it in a bar. It's just the way it works. And so I look over at the Sublimely Self-Righteous Ale, and I see that it's only $7. And I said, well, I guess it's not marked up for the bar. And I really don't want to pay $11 for beer, so I went with the Sublimely Self-Righteous Ale and brought it up to the bar and said, hey, this is the one that I want. Will you open it for me? And the bartender says, hey, just so you know, this isn't the right price. It's actually going to be probably about $11. And I said, oh, it's marked up for the bar. And he says, yeah, that's right. And so I said, that's fine, but let me take this one back, and I got another one that I want. If I'm gonna pay that money for a beer, I'm gonna try something new and be a little bit adventurous. Excuse me. And so I get the Double Bastard Ale, and when I brought it up, he kind of smiled and he said, you know what, you're gonna really, really enjoy this. And another detail on this bottle that is important is, and this, mind you, this was only not 2 months ago. It's been within the last 2 months, but I noticed that it's the 2011 release, and I know that that's backwards, but 2011 release. And he tells me, bartender tells me, he says, we haven't had enough room, like the facings, there weren't enough facings for this beer, so it's been sitting in the back of the cooler for months. He goes, at least 6 months this beer has been sitting there. And the thing with strong ales, especially with high ABV ales, you need to age them. You need to age them for quite a while to help them mellow, to help the flavors come out. And he said, I think this is just going to be amazing. You're going to love this beer. So I said, awesome. Gave him the money, threw him a tip, and sat down with my friend. And the first taste of that beer, I knew that it was going to be my favorite beer that I've ever had. And not to say it's going to be my favorite beer of all time, but so far, and I've had quite a number of beers, it is my favorite beer. And it had been aged for a long time, which you have to kind of take that into account because it's not an instant satisfaction type thing. But it was delicious, to say the least. Full-bodied, very malty. The alcohol was not overpowering at all. You could definitely notice it, and it kind of, to me, high alcohol drinks, it feels like it's coating your mouth. Like you can kind of feel the alcohol coating your mouth, and to me it enhances the flavor of the beer, which is awesome. And the thing that I really loved about Arrogant Bastard Ale is not only was it really malty and just wonderfully malty, it has this sweet sensation that just comes through, and it's a beautiful beer. If you haven't had it, you really need to try it. However, what I learned, to my dismay, after finding this beer, was that it was released in August of 2011. And remember, I said this was just like 2 months ago, which would be, I want to say we were there in October, either late September or early October of 2012. And this beer had been released in August of 2011. So it's quite an old beer. It's been sitting around for a long time, which is part of the reason it's aged so well, and part of the reason it tasted so good. So, my computer is making a weird noise. Anyway, so it was very good, to say the least. Now, where I was going with this is, Stone only releases Double Bastard once per year, and it's done it for, I think, 12 years in a row or something like that, and they hadn't released it yet. And so that year, and like I said, it's probably early October, late September. I was like, they're kind of running out of time. And as October continued, I was really afraid that they were not going to release it. They're not going to release the beer. And here I have. I've found my favorite beer in the world, and they're not going to release it again. I was very frightened for that. But time went on, and I actually went back to the bar, got another beer, got the same beer again, really, really enjoyed it, and this just increased my dismay that they're not gonna release this beer again. So what I decided to do was go to the website and figure out where they distributed to. So I figured out where their distributors were, who they distributed to, and basically what happened is I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere, and which wasn't surprising because it had been released in August 2011. So then I kind of gave up, and I waited and I waited, and turns out they released the beer. They released the beer 2012 in October. I think it was October 29th was when they released it. And so I was so excited. And that is this beer, which is the one I showed you before. And I'll go ahead and give you a close-up of this. And this one's in red, so it's a little more difficult to see. But yeah, right there it says 2012 release. And also, interestingly, because they brew this differently, a little bit differently every year, it comes in at 11.2% alcohol by volume, which is fairly potent, even more so than the 2011 release. So I happened to go down to a store, the liquor store that I go to all the time, and they had it in stock, and it was a very good night, and that was actually the election night. I sat down and was watching the election results, the voting results, and was drinking what has to be my favorite beer in the world right now. So it was a very good night and a very satisfying end to the story of finding Double Bastard Ale. I will be doing a review on the 2012 version, and I will probably be starting a series that I will release, and you can follow it if you want, but it's going to be released in months-long units, like intervals. That's the word I'm looking for. Because what I want to do is get 2 or 3 cases of it, throw it in a fridge, and just let it sit, let it age like the 2011 one had, and track its development. I think that would be something really fun to do, and something that would really help me develop my palate and sort of search for the different flavors in the beer. I think it would be a really fun experiment, like exercise, and also I'd get drunk whenever I drank it. So that'd be fun too. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with catching a buzz while you're drinking beer. But that's my Double Bastard story, guys. And I guess one last little idiosyncrasy that I found cool. This is the left. Anyway, what I'm going to show you here is that they changed the label a little bit, and I thought this was a good idea. If you notice, this one on the top is black with a white outline, and this one is white with a black outline. So that way, if you were to collect them, you'd put them, you know, back and forth, and you can, you know, see the progression of the beer. I think that's cool. But anyway, Stone, awesome fucking job. Beautiful beer. And yeah, that's it. That's how I found Double Bastard Ale. If you made it to the end, thanks for listening to my story. Hopefully you like the vlog format. Let me know what you think about the quality. Again, I'm recording on my MacBook, so may not be amazing, but hopefully you liked it. And if you haven't tried this beer, or Lucky Bastard Ale, or any of Stone's beers, please go out there and do yourself a favor and try them out. They have a ton of beers that you can really find something to match your taste. Tons of beers. Pale ales, IPAs, tons of IPAs, double IPAs, tons of ales. Anyway, I'm off topic. Anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying your lives. Hope you're enjoying your beer. Have a good one, and leave me a comment or something. I might reply. You never know. See you later.